Next, we are going to be interpreting the rate of change. So first thing we want to recall is that the rate of change shows the relationship between two changing quantities when one quantity depends on the other quantity. And the rate of change is just going to be equal to the change in the dependent variable divided by the change in the independent variable, which is change in y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. So that's what we talked about previously. So now the table shows the distance the band marches over time. So we're going to say the time in minutes and the distance in feet. So 1 minute, 280 feet. 2 minutes, 520, 3 minutes, 760, 4 minutes, 1,000. So here we're increasing by 1 every time. Now on the distance, we say this is 240, and then from here to here is also 240, and then 240. So because they are all the same, that means that the rate is constant. Yes, it is constant. And what is that rate? Well, to find that rate, just like we did before, we're going to take 240, because that's our change in our y right here, and our change in our x was 1, so divided by 1, which is 240. But what does that mean? Okay, so that is our rate of change, our slope. And yes, it is constant. Is constant. So that is what the first question was asking, and that constant term is 240. Now, what does this rate of change represent? So what we were talking about is the time that it takes the band to march a certain distance. So it is representing the amount of feet, per minute. So that is what the rate is representing. So the band is marching 240 feet per minute. That's the idea. So now I want to graph this. So graphing, it's just like I'm going to be graphing the points. So I have the point 1, 280. So 1, 200, somewhere about there. Not exact, but it's close. It's in between 200 and 400. And then 2, 520. So 2 up to 520, so it's somewhere about there, in between 400 and 600. And then we have 3, 760, so 3, and then 760, about there. And 4, 1,000, so 4, 1,000. So we can kind of see that it's continually going up like that. So my line, if I were to graph the line, would be about like that. Now, that's not perfect, but that's the idea. Alright? So if you're asked to graph or do that kind of things, then you can just graph them as points. Okay, now this next one, we want to find and explain the slope, or the rate of change, if you will. A student earns 98 on the test for answering one question incorrectly. So one question incorrectly is a 98. And then earns a 90 for answering 5 questions incorrectly. Okay, so basically I'm saying that my x is incorrect, and my y is the grade. Okay, so if I want to find my rate of change, then I would take my y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. So y1 is 98, minus my y2, which is 90, over 1 minus 5, x1 over x2. So that's going to give me 8 over a negative 4, which is negative 2. So what does this mean? So I have my rate m equals negative 2. What does that mean? That means that the grade goes down 2 for each incorrect question. Okay, so you get 1 wrong, you get a 98. You get 2 wrong, you get a 96. So it just keeps going down 2. So that would be negative 2. And that would be your explanation, your slope, and then your explanation. Okay, so this next example, we want to find and explain the slope. Okay, a car is 200 kilometers from its destination after 1 hour, and 80 kilometers from its destination after 3 hours. So if I have the hours, 200 miles or kilometers from the destination, and then 80 miles from the destination. Okay, so I want to find the slope and then explain it. So y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2 is going to give me 200 minus 80 over 1 minus 3. So 200 minus 80 is 120 over 1 minus 3 is a negative 2. Now I want to simplify that. 120 divided by negative 2 is going to be negative 60. So what that means is m is equal to negative 60. And what does that mean in terms of my rate of change? What does the change mean? So what it means is the car gets 60 kilometers closer to the destination every hour. Okay, or something like, with every hour, 60 minutes closer, or 60 minutes less to go, or 60 kilometers less to go, or anything like that is acceptable. Just explain what it means. Why is that the case? What can I do with that number? So those are your notes over how to interpret the rate of change. Basically, you just have to understand what is on top and what is on bottom, and then you can do units per units, whatever it happens to be. I'll go through some practice problems, and then you can take a quiz over this material.